Hi, I'm Tepylo, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about social media. So before we dive into the platforms themselves, we're going to talk about some content planning and some strategy to help you have success across all platforms. So one of the first things I think is really important to talk about when we talk about social media is your why. So people are on social media to connect with others. That's what we do when we're scrolling. We're looking to have those moments of connection. And if we're just selling, we're not giving people the opportunity to connect with us. So in order to kind of build that brand story, one of the most important things is to figure out your why. So why you do what you do. And that's because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you pull out your content bucket worksheet, on top you'll see an area to write down your why. And this is a really important exercise to allow you to explore further the meaning behind your brand and really the message that you want to share with your audience. So once you have your why, you can build the content that really speaks to it. So for example, if you're an interior decorator, you're not just decorating homes, you're making sure that you're sparking joy in people's lives when they come home. If you are a house cleaner, you're not cleaning houses, you're helping alleviate stress from busy professionals' lives. So making sure that you can connect with that why is really important to help you build your brand messaging across every platform that you're using. So once you have your brand story and your why, we can then build out content that speaks to it. And one of the important things to remember is to be personal when we're starting to think about these content ideas. Now, the great thing is that you get to decide what you want to share and what is personal to you. You don't need to share everything. You may follow people online who are sharing pictures of their kids or everything with their lives. You don't need to do that to be successful, but you do need to figure out what personal aspects of your life and your business that you feel comfortable sharing, because you really do want to show the person behind the business. So whether it's a love of cooking or a hobby that you really enjoy, or it's that you really love Star Wars, these are things going to allow people to connect with you and really create those connections that are important for social media. So in terms of building out our content library and all these different post ideas, once we have our why, we can then focus on the specific post ideas that we're going to use from it. So in terms of your content, there really should be a goal with every piece of content you create. So whether that is marketing, community building, inspiration, or educating your audience. So using that content bucket worksheet, you can brainstorm ideas for your content. So for example, if you make custom high-end dog treats, we can use this content bucket worksheet to work out different opportunities for marketing. So in terms of the goal for each piece of content, we can look at different categories. So for example, marketing. These are gonna be our selling posts, the ones that are really including a call to action to have people purchase your products or book your service. So going back to that dog treat example, some marketing post opportunities would be posting about upcoming markets, talking about the recipe, the benefits of using the product, and testimonials from people who love your product. In terms of that education, that's really serving your audience with information. So it can be information on the product and the ingredients that go into it and why that's important for your animals. It can be training tips or other dog-related information that you're providing information to your audience. And then the most important part is building that community. So using opportunities to connect with the customer and like-minded people. So whether that is telling the stories of the dogs that use your product, sharing real-life stories of things that happen at the dog park, or a funny thing that your dog did that morning, using those aspects to build that community around your brand is super important. And you can use that as inspiration as well, whether it's a dog whose health improved and things like that, to really build that brand story around your brand. So now that we have this kind of brainstorm idea of content, just continue. It could be as you're working on something, you might think that would be a really good post for social media. Keep referencing back and writing down point from ideas. So for me, my two kind of major content buckets, one would be education, one's community building, and then of course marketing. So education based is my main one. I'm sharing lots of information for small business owners about social media, tips and tricks. My community-based stuff is really talking about what it's like to be an entrepreneur, be a mom in business, kind of that whole business community I'm in. So that really connects me with other business owners. And then marketing, those are the call to action. So giving people an insight into what I do and how I can alleviate those problems in their business. And because I'm sharing that education and that community aspect, it brings people in so that when we're ready to sell, that connection's already there. So now that we have our content kind of figured out and some starting ideas, we can kind of dive into some more strategy for our platforms. So whether you are just getting started on social media or already active across platforms, one of the things to remember is thinking about what platforms you're gonna be on. And it can feel a little overwhelming with all the options out there, but some important things to think about are what platforms your target is on and what platforms you enjoy being on. Don't feel like you need to be everywhere. It's more effective and more impactful to be focused on one platform and put all our effort into using that to the best of our ability, rather than trying everywhere and not really putting our effort into one area. So just because you see another company on one platform, or you hear someone using TikTok and then you're like, what is TikTok? Should I be using it? Focus on where your customers are. So you can do some market research, you can do some exploration on the apps themselves to see where is my target market interacting and engaging. And then also think about what content you like to create. So if you love Instagram and posting photos and captions, then Instagram should be your platform and really focus on creating there. If you are less of a visual person and more of a writer, then explore Twitter and see how you can reach your target there. You can have success on every platform. It's just about figuring out what's the best mix for you and your customers. Also, when we're talking about strategy, we want to make sure that we have a system in place to measure our results. Since social media can be a bit of a time suck, I think we all get stuck sometimes scrolling mindlessly. We want to make sure that the time that we're spending on social media is for a reason and that what we're putting out there is getting results. So as you're planning your strategy, you want to think about what results you're tracking, what metrics you're going to be looking at. So some of the key ones you can look at is engagement on posts. So that is people liking, retweeting, saving your posts, sharing them. And that's a really good metric to see if people are resonating with your content. Another one that kind of goes to the next level is messages. So are people taking the next step to connect with you? Are they sending you emails, getting into your direct messages on Instagram? That is a really great way to see if people are truly connecting with your content and then building those connections with you. And then of course, what I think most people are looking for the most is the action. So are people going to your website to purchase your products from the content? Are they calling you to set up a consultation? So thankfully, in each platform, they provide insights so you can see the results of your content. So for example, on Instagram, on each post, you can see how many people followed you from that post, how many people clicked to your website, how many people sent you a message, and you can really see what is working and what's not. That way you know that the time and the money you're spending on social media is making an impact. And that's really good in terms of going forward with your content planning. If you see a post is performing really well, then you can consider creating more content similar to that. So looking at your insights on a regular basis is really important. If people are really connecting with photos when you do customer testimonials or stories about customer successes, and then okay, let's create more content like that. If people really love when you talk about your life or things behind the scenes, then you know that that's an opportunity to create more content like that. When you're ready to set up your accounts, or whether you've already had them set up, going through and doing a little audit and little edit is always a good idea to see if your account is set up for the best success. So some things to think about in terms of writing your bio on Instagram and Twitter, or your about section on Facebook. You wanna make sure that you're really sharing how you help people, not just what you do. So again, it goes back to that why. How can you communicate to your customers how you're gonna improve their life? So you're not just cleaning their home, you're relieving stress and making them feel happier in their lives. In terms of your profile photo, this is a question I get a lot, and it's something to think about. If you are a solo entrepreneur or a small business, I highly recommend that you use your photo, a picture of yourself, as your profile photo on social media. As I was saying, we're all on social media to connect with people. And by seeing a photo of you, people are able to really see the person behind the business and connect on a new level. If you're a larger business and have multiple employees and a personal photo isn't quite as appropriate for your profile photo, you can still use posts as an opportunity to show people. People really respond better to pictures with people in them. So even if you have a logo as your profile photo, then look for opportunities in your feed posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to show people's faces. So whether it's pictures of employees, pictures of customers, those are opportunities that you can still create those connections even if you have your logo as your profile photo. Because as we're scrolling, it's really nice to see the person who wrote the post. And you can get an idea of like, oh, that's the person who wrote this. In terms of your content and your strategy, as we were talking earlier with our content buckets, you wanna make sure that you're serving your audience the majority of the time. So a good ratio to think about is serving 80% of the time and selling 20% of the time. You wanna provide value to your audience. So that can be through education, as we talked about, connection and inspiration. You wanna give people a reason to follow you. So if you're just selling all the time, that's not necessarily going to be something that people wanna join the party in. They wanna create those connections and build those relationships. So ensuring that you are providing value to your customers the majority of the time. When we get into the actual content creation, some of the things we want to think about is photos and videos. So in terms of photos, you want to make sure you have high quality photos across platforms. In terms of photos, we can look at whether either hiring a photographer or hiring yourself as a photographer. So both are great options to get a library of content ready for social. So whether you work with a professional or with yourself, you want to create an idea of different photos that you would like to see on your feed. So whether that's looking at inspiration accounts, other people in your industry, or other accounts that you really like, you can get an idea of what types of photos you want to have. So some ideas are headshots, styled shoots, flat lay, so photos taken overhead of different items. If you're gonna do it yourself, things you wanna think about are having good lighting, making sure you have nice, clean backdrops, using brand items, so whether it's a color or certain items to really pull people into your content. For example, my favorite color is pink and it's part of my branding. So in most photos on my social media, you can see a pink aspect included. So thinking of ways that when people see a photo, they're gonna know it's from you. The other thing in terms of content is video. So video works really well on social media because we start watching and we get pulled in and then we're into the content and we're gonna keep watching. So thinking about how you can incorporate video in your social media as well. And it can be, again, working with a professional to create a high quality video that you can share across all platforms, or doing some things yourself with your smartphone. So things like Instagram stories is a great opportunity to experiment with video because it's quick, it's in the moment, it's behind the scenes, it's raw, so you can have some fun experimenting with it there. And in terms of planning this content, you can think about what videos get you kind of hooked in. So a lot of the things like that do well are kind of those like oddly satisfying videos, things like someone decorating cake or even cleaning up an area. People get hooked into those time-lapse videos. So whether it is you packing up orders and having that on time-lapse, or you making the product, things like that that provide a little insight into your business do really well. And then you can repurpose that content across platforms. So that video could be on your Instagram TV, it could be on your Facebook. So that's something I really encourage you to experiment with. Look at the content that you're already creating and look for ways that you can create similar content in video as well, and just try it. It can be really scary at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with it, and it's a nice change to just having photos and text on your social media platforms. You wanna make sure in every post that you do, whether it is text-based, photo-based, or video-based, that you're including a call to action. So whether you're asking people to comment on the post or share an emoji about how they're feeling, send you a message if they want more information, that call to action helps entice people to communicate with you and to engage. As in general, we've all become less engaging. We engage less on social media. So including that call to action prompts people to take that action. So whether it's double tap on this photo on Instagram or comment a time that you felt similar, including those calls to action ensure that you're gonna get that engagement that's gonna help you get seen by more accounts. So in terms of creating that content, one thing we talk about often is hashtags, and there's a little bit of confusion about how they work or how we should use them. So on Instagram, hashtags are kind of the key to growing your reach and getting seen and connecting with new accounts. On Instagram, you can use up to 30 hashtags. You can include them either in the caption of your photo or as a comment, and you can include up to 30. So things to think about with hashtags on Instagram is look at industry-based ones. So you can look at what other companies in your industry are using. You can look at location-based, so hashtag Northumberland County or hashtag Coburg. And then you can also look at lifestyle-based. So there's different ones if you're a female entrepreneur or if you are a foodie. So you're looking at different opportunities to connect with those groups. And the best way to figure out which ones are gonna be right for you is doing some exploring. So going in on Instagram, clicking through the hashtags, looking at what content is there, and then figuring out where your content is gonna fit in. And I encourage you to create some lists. When it says like up to 30 hashtags, that can feel a little overwhelming, but create a note on your phone or in a document and create different categories. So if you're posting about dog this time, or if it's about business this time, you're gonna have those categories ready to go and you can just copy and paste. In terms of Twitter, hashtags are clickable and searchable as well on Twitter, but we don't wanna overwhelm posts with hashtags. So on Twitter, we're gonna include up to 2 relevant hashtags in your tweet, and you can include them kind of in the body of the text or after the fact. On Facebook, this is kind of the biggest misconception, I'd say. So on Facebook, hashtags don't work like they do on Instagram. If you click a hashtag, you're not gonna see that content kind of curated in any special way. The only time I would suggest using a hashtag on Facebook is if it's part of a larger campaign. So if it's a branded hashtag that you use across platforms, or it's part of an event that you want people to post that hashtag when they post about the event, that's a good way to include that branding across platforms. But in terms of posting hashtags on Facebook, you wanna avoid that because they're not helping you, helping your reach, and they look a little sloppy because they're not part of that platform. So even if you are kind of posting your content from Instagram to Facebook, you wanna make sure that you're removing those hashtags so that it looks clean and suited for that platform. So in terms of content ideas, we have that content bucket worksheet that we've worked on. We're continually adding ideas in there, but just some ideas to help maybe spur on some new content plans for you. Some things to think about. So I'm gonna provide some 10 content ideas here. So the first one, share something you can't live without, whether that's in your business or in your real life, kind of like that one, your favorite product or your favorite service that you use. Host and asking anything. So give your audience an opportunity to ask you questions, whether it's about business or about life, and really kind of engage that communication with your audience. Share a side hobby or something that you love to do. This is a great way of kind of pulling back the curtain a bit and showing the person behind the brand and getting people to connect. So if you love walking the dog every morning, and people can see themselves in you and also connect with you. Share what you are reading or watching right now. People love commenting with their Netflix suggestions or their favorite book they're listening to on Audible right now. So by showing what you enjoy consuming, you're giving the opportunity to increase engagement on your post, but also connect with people who like similar content as you. You can share the story behind your logo or behind your brand. So what made you choose those colors, or what spoke to you about your logo. Share your workspace and intro an employee. So whether it's sharing your office space or how your desk looks, or providing an introduction to one of your employees. Again, that's lifting the curtain a bit and giving people an opportunity to connect with the business as it is. Post about your favorite holiday and traditions. So again, it's an opportunity to be personal with people without being too personal. And again, people love hearing about those traditions that people have and kind of communicating with that. You can create a freebie. So whether that is 5 tips for keeping your house clean, or 5 ways to style a scarf, something like that that people are going to get value from, and then it's also a way to get more information from them. So maybe that is a way to get people on an email list. Really, we want to create content that's going to live on across platforms, and we can get the most value out of it. So something like that is something you can post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but also have it as a way to pull in more people to your email list or to your website for more information. Another option, another idea is to share your morning routine. Again, a little bit of that personal aspect. And number 10 is a big one. So using community connections and community partners to show that you're part of the business community. So whether you are working at a local coffee shop, you can take an Instagram story and tag the coffee shop. If you went shopping at a local shoe store and bought something you love, using the opportunities to leverage other businesses in your community that you support to grow your reach. Because as we tag other people and we engage, they might share our content and we get seen by more people. So in terms of your content, you wanna make sure that you're using a plan to share your posts so that it's not a daily struggle of what am I gonna post, I'm not sure. So going back to our content list, we can then create a plan for the month or for the week going forward. One thing I encourage you to do is think about kind of quarterly what content is gonna be relevant within that quarter, whether it's seasonal, holiday-based, or business-based, what's coming up ahead. What I do is I look at quarter kind of general big ideas and then go into each month and look at content ideas for the month. Now you don't need to plan every post out in detail, but just putting a point form note about what you're going to be talking about is super helpful in terms of making sure you're telling your brand story across platforms and making sure that you are balancing your message. So that way you don't get stuck kind of sharing the same thing for a week or two. You're able to balance all your messaging and make sure that you're balancing your marketing, your education, your community-based to create that kind of overall brand story. To take that next step further would be to start scheduling your posts. So once you have kind of that plan in place for the month, the next step would be actually scheduling that in advance. And I know one of the biggest struggles with social media for small business owners is the time. And it does take time to create content and to be active and engaging, but we can reduce some of that time by scheduling posts in advance. And I suggest to get started just doing like a week at a time. Most platforms have it native to the platform. So for example, Facebook, you can schedule right on your Facebook page for the future. There's also Facebook Creator Studio, which lets you schedule Facebook and Instagram posts. And then there are a lot of free apps that let you schedule across all platforms. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's about finding which one's gonna work best for you, but I encourage you to try with Facebook first, just because it is right in the platform and really easy to use. Scheduling allows you to kind of get in the content creation mindset. So once you write one post, it's a lot easier to write two more. So we're already at our computer, we're at our phone, and we're already thinking kind of in that content creation mindset. Instead of having to start cold every time, just batching that content together will save you time and produce better content because we're in that mindset. So once you get started with scheduling, like I said, try a week at a time, and it should only take you, like depending on the number of posts that you have, an hour for the week, which should save you time if you're kind of popping on every day right now to create posts. You're gonna have that kind of bulk together in one time of your week. So now that we're posting, we're feeling really good, we have our content ideas, we're scheduling in advance. The next step is how do we grow our accounts to get more people to see them? And that's a big part of social media. It's really about remembering that it's a two-way street. It's not just us screaming to the void about our business. We really want to create those connections. So along with scheduling time to schedule your posts, I would also recommend scheduling time to be active online. So we want to make sure that we're scheduling time to be active online as well. So engaging with our ideal clientele is the best way to get our brand, our business seen by new people online. So there's a few different ways to do this. So we talked about hashtags earlier. Using hashtags to find our ideal clientele is a great way to engage with them. So first of all, hashtags can get us more reach because as people search hashtags, our content is gonna be shown up on them on Instagram and Twitter. But also we can use hashtags to find our ideal clientele and engage with them first, which is a great way to get new eyes on your content. Because if they see, oh, that business liked a few of my posts, I'm gonna go check them out. And it's all about being genuine. So not spamming people, but going and looking at people that look like your ideal clientele and going and engaging with them. So for example, if you were a wedding photographer in Coburg, you could look at hashtags that people in Coburg use, and then look for opportunities to connect with people. So again, being really true and genuine with it. If you saw a picture of someone walking their dog with their significant other on a beach, at the Coburg beach, then you could comment, oh, I love taking my family there on the weekend, or I love doing X, Y, Z. So again, you're not selling your service, you're really connecting with people. The same thing that you do with hashtags, you can also do with locations on Instagram and on Facebook. So looking at who's posting within your geographical region or the geographical region you want to target, and then going and engaging with those accounts. So again, you can do it by, for example, Coburg as the location, your area, and just connect with accounts that really look like account you want to see your content. Along with that, you really want to make sure that you are engaging back when people engage on your posts. So spending time each day to respond to comments, and really make sure that you're building that community up. If people are giving the time and effort to communicate with you, you want to make sure that you're valuing that and giving something back to them for being part of that community. In terms on Instagram, you want to make sure that you're adding a location to your post as well, so more people in your area can find you as well. In terms of going to the next step, we just want to make sure that we are really fostering that community within our content. So whether that is connecting with new accounts, shouting out other businesses, we want to make sure that we really are keeping social media social. It's really easy to put content out there, but we want to make sure that we really are building that community. No matter on what platform, we really want to go beyond our posts to comment on other people's stuff, like other people's stuff, and really create those connections that are gonna grow our business. When you're thinking about your strategy, again, having that idea of your ideal clientele is really important. So when you're building your content, when you're looking for other accounts to interact with, making sure that everything is driven by strategy. That's kind of my big takeaway for you as you begin your journey on social media, or you're taking it to the next level, is really think back to your why. Why do you do what you do? But also, why are you on social media? So what is your end goal? Obviously, we're all wanting to grow our business and make money and make sales, but really there's that in between, how we get there. So really focusing on that strategy of who are you talking to? Where are they online, and how are you going to create those true connections with them is going to be how you have success online. So to take your account to your next level, you really want to focus on your ideal clientele and how you can create content that's going to take them from follower into customer, and how can you serve them along that journey. So the first time someone connects with you isn't necessarily when you're gonna get that sale, but you wanna extend that handshake, meet them with your post, and then eventually, when they're ready to purchase from you, they're gonna purchase from you because they've built that connection. So really think about your social media accounts as that first interaction with someone, and how can you build that online friendship so that when they're ready to make that purchase, you're gonna be the one that they go to. So I encourage you to experiment, try new things, and really make sure that you're evaluating your efforts on social media to ensure success. If you're looking for more tips online, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Tepylo, and always send me a message if you have any specific questions, and I would love to help you out. Good luck on social. I'm excited to see your businesses grow and expand.